guys, and welcome to Sammy Scrolls, where I tell you all about some of the best books out there. In this episode, we're back to The Walking Dead with Book 11. I've been waiting to get my hands on this book forever. Unfortunately, The Walking Dead's kind of hard to get. In Australia, none of my local comic book stores have it, so it was only on my rare trips into Brisbane that I ever got to check for it. And finally, after over a year, I got book 11. So after all that waiting, I finally got to find out what happens at the end of the All Out War arc. And I don't know if it's because I waited for so long that, I don't know, I wasn't as impressed with the ending as I thought I was going to be. I was a little bit disappointed because the whole lead up was epic and you were like on the edge of your seat the whole time. And then, well, spoiler alert, but it just ends with Rick cutting Negan's throat with a concealed knife, like a little tiny knife. And while I admit that is badass, it wasn't the massive ending that I was waiting for. Like Negan's entrance and the whole war, it was all huge and it was just explosive event after explosive event. And then for it to end so quickly and quietly, it wasn't what I was anticipating. But I think maybe it is because I had been waiting for so long and I'd been watching the TV show build up to it that maybe my expectations were a little bit too high. But then I kept reading and there was this massive plot twist. So in the lead up to Negan's supposed demise, Rick's leg is really badly broken. And after Negan falls, all of the survivors, they go to Rick's aid to try and help him, and you know, it's literally, it's a disgusting break. I don't even want to go into it, read the comics, but oh, I wanted to throw up. It was gross. But like, it's vital that Rick has his legs set as soon as possible or it's going to be bad for him, and he won't let anyone come near him until they save Negan. He's not dead yet and he could survive the wound that Rick inflicted, and he is adamant that nobody helps Rick until Negan lives. When I was reading it, I was kind of thinking, Rick, what are you doing? I mean, he's our hero, he's in extraordinary pain, and he wants Negan, who really doesn't deserve to keep going, to live? It didn't make sense to me. I was like, what are you doing? But to die so quickly, Negan doesn't deserve that, and Rick is just full of surprises, and he thought that. So rather than just kill Negan and Rick take over and we're back to Ricktatorship, Negan is kept alive and he's locked in this cell so that he can watch the saviors and the kingdom and the hilltop and the survivors all live harmoniously and watch them flourish, knowing that it was his fault that wasn't happening. And even when that happened, I was sort of thinking, while it's a cool idea to show Negan that, you know, we don't need you and it was your fault the world is like the world of the living, not the entire apocalypse isn't Negan's fault, but it was his fault that his people and the hilltop and whatever other communities he was terrorizing, it was his fault that life was so horrible for them. So that's kind of a interesting way to go, but I was like, this is Negan we're talking about. Like, he's gonna get out and it's gonna be a mess because there's no way this is gonna happen. But he didn't manage it without all of his little henchmen. Negan's nothing. It appears that his charisma was all he really had going for him because he's stuck in this cell and there's nothing he can do about it. And he was even presented with an opportunity where he could escape, and it didn't work out for him. They saw that he was full of crap and moved on. So Negan, he's really stuck, and it's quite interesting to see this guy who was so masculine and macho and I'm so much better than you and I fear no one, to now be this quivering little mess in this cell, and he tries to put the tough act on, but you know that it's all crap now. Because the second that people come in, he tries to convince them to get out and they see right through him. I don't think he's used to being called on things that quickly. So that was a good moment to know that maybe Rick did make the right decision, because Negan's still there and it's months at least since the war, and he's still stuck. Plus, I I kind of like Negan. Like, he is the most terrible character that we've had on The Walking Dead so far, but he's so well written, and his entertainment value alone has me happy that he's still there. Like, he doesn't deserve the grace that he's been given. Like, he's not being harmed in any way. He's just locked in a cell. He gets fed. He just isn't allowed to be the tyrant that he was. But having him around, it's just brilliant. He's so well written. I'd love to write for him. And when he came on the TV show, I mean, there's not as much cussing on the show as there is in the comic books, but it's still, that attitude and that charisma comes through, and I've never met someone that talks quite like Negan. But now I'm left wondering, where does this leave Rick and the survivors? They seem to be doing really well for themselves and living out the dreams that they had, but like, we know in The Walking Dead that as soon as you think you're safe, hell is literally just around the corner, and they have picked themselves up so fast after the war and are really not just surviving but thriving. So what does this mean? Are we finally safe, or what kind of mess is literally just lurking in the shadows? What do you think? Are Rick and his people okay now, or do you think something's coming? Do you believe Negan's really going to live out the rest of his days in that little cell? There's so many questions, and I can't wait to read the next book to find out what is going to happen, because we've gone from, and there was the governor, and that was an atrocity, and then we were okay for a little bit, but not as well off as we are now. And once Negan arrived, I don't think we've ever been as low as that, and then now we're practically back to civilization. So what does that mean? If things are this good, someone wanted the prison, and that was a yucky rundown old prison. Now we have a thriving community with farms, and I imagine there's schools in there, kids are being born. It's all wonderful and safe. Who's going to come along and try and take that? But that's it for my thoughts on book 11. The Walking Dead, it doesn't really give you a break. You always know that as soon as you start feeling comfortable, something's going to happen. Just hope it's not too bad, or maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it's all good this time, and now we're going to start looking at how civilization works in an apocalyptic environment. Who knows? But thank you so much for watching. Take care until I see you next time. Bye!